everybody, Cinema Sickness here with your daily sickness video, and as always, hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic day. And we gotta dive right into today's daily sickness video because it's that time of the week again. Time to take a look at all the titles I've recently been checking out. As always, want to get through these as quickly as possible, so let's just dive right in. So first up here, I checked out Mr. Holmes, a movie I was definitely interested in seeing ever since I saw the trailer for this. It looked great, and it was definitely an enjoyable film. It's all about the real Sherlock Holmes, the actual Sherlock Holmes, who, of course, in the story was greatly fictionalized and by Watson, and wrote these books and made this whole big story out of Sherlock Holmes. But it's actually about the real man and how he has to basically solve his last case that's been haunting him. He's getting old now. He's very forgetful. Does not remember things anymore. Definitely suffering from memory loss. And he has this case where this woman had killed herself. This woman he was trying to help with her husband had killed herself. And he has to put the pieces together and come to terms with what happened. But he's basically kind of solving his own sort of case. So interesting story. Very well done. Very moving at times. Definitely one to check out. A great drama, but sort of fictionalized drama. Very, very good. Definitely check out Mr. Holmes. If you're like me, you saw the trailer for it and you're like, that looks pretty good. It was. See this one. Definitely enjoyable film. All right. Then I started the first of my little World War II kick. I don't know, this week I watched a bunch of World War II related movies. And the first one I checked out was a documentary, which I have on Ultraviolet, called Night Will Fall. And interesting documentary all about the cameramen and whatnot behind shooting the Nazi concentration camps when the war was coming to an end, and how they were going to put this whole big film together to basically show the German citizens. Because unfortunately, when World War II was coming to an end and once it was over, a lot of the German citizens did not believe that the concentration camps were something real. That was something that was actually happening. They all kind of turned a blind eye to it and then didn't believe that it actually happened. Thought that the Americans were making it all up, and it was actors and stuff portraying these very, I don't know how an actor is supposed to portray. Well, if you've ever seen The Mechanic, you might know. But or not Mechanic, but Machinist. That's what it was. The Machinist. You might know what I'm talking about with Christian Bale when he lost all that weight. But all these actors are basically skin and bones. I don't think so. It's actually Jews in the concentration camps who were whittling away to nothing and starving to death. But they were all thinking these were actors and whatnot. So basically, it was the Allies' kind of way of saying, okay, you've seen all these pictures, we've shown you all these pictures of all this stuff, and you're not believing it, so we're gonna put a film together and proving to you that this stuff actually existed. This isn't fake. Here's the proof of all this stuff actually going on, and here these aren't photos. This is actual film, actual film footage of what's going on, and we're gonna do all this, and ended up not doing the film because it got to the point where they were having issues with basically German citizens, and they wanted kind of everything to just sort of smooth out. They didn't want any issues. They didn't want to cause any problems. They didn't want to anger a bunch of people. So instead of being here's what your Nazi party was doing to all these Jews, they were killing them all off and doing horrible things to them. They kind of just went, forget it. Let's just smooth things over and whatever. We're not gonna piss anybody off. Which I think is kind of messed up. They probably should have put this video up, but it's very interesting and very disturbing. If I warn you, if you watch this documentary, you're gonna see a lot of disturbing things, and you're gonna hear about a lot of horrible, disturbing things. Obviously, we're learning about what went on in concentration camps and actually seeing footage of what went on in concentration camps. It's pretty bad. It's pretty nasty. But it is history. It unfortunately did happen, and it's one of those things. It's like they say, learn your history because it prevents you kind of from repeating yourself. Although that's somewhat BS because the same things just keep happening. It seems, but still horrible stuff. But a very interesting documentary all about this film that was kind of be made, and again, all the people who shot all this footage for the film. So definitely interesting. Check it out if you wanted to see a really good World War II documentary that talks about a whole different subject than I've really ever heard talked about before. So fantastic. See it. Then I watched a documentary called Being Canadian. Again, I have it on Ultraviolet. And interesting documentary all about a Canadian who is on this road trip to discover, what is what is it to be Canadian? Because, there's always the stereotypes of maple syrup and Mounties and, stuff like that. But what is it actually to be Canadian? And, is it all about just being, nice and friendly and stuff like that? And is it about playing hockey and stuff, all the stereotypes. And it was a good documentary. It was very interesting. But I think at the end, it kind of just didn't really sum up to, like, what it means to be Canadians. It was kind of just like being Canadian just means, like, you're proud to be a Canadian. You're proud of who you are and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so really, being Canadian is nothing. And I guess it's kind of the saying with, like, every country. I mean, what is it to be American? What is it to be Canadian? What is it to be, English or Indian or, Japanese, whatever, what is it to be any of this stuff? It boils down to just whatever it is you want it to be. So I guess in the end, it's like, I don't know what I was expecting, but it just kind of felt like a cop-out sort of ending, but still a good, fun documentary. It had some humor in it. Just fun to watch this guy go, travel across Canada. Very interesting, a fun watch. Like I said, kind of amounted to be kind of nothing in the end, but still definitely worth checking out. And if you want to see just a fun documentary, I got really into it because I don't know like a ton about Canada, so you do learn about a lot about Canada. It was definitely interesting to check out. So I mean, if you are Canadian, maybe you like it, maybe not. But if you're not from Canada, it's worth checking out because you're gonna learn some things. So see it. All right, then I checked out, finally, I've been waiting to see this for a while now, The Big Picture. This was great. It's all about Kevin Bacon's little independent filmmaker, kind of gets noticed. He wins like this award for his little independent short film, and he's gonna become this big star and whatnot. And he lets it all just really, really, really go to his head that he's gonna be this great big thing. And he starts letting people kind of, at first he's like, well, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna make the films I want to make. But of course, he lets studio heads kind of talk him into doing this, or we're gonna change this. And basically, by the end, the film they're gonna make is not at all his film anymore. But again, he lets it all go to his head. He's like, I'm a big star, big blah blah. And then it all comes crashing horribly down on him in the sense that he loses his deal and just all this stuff just goes bad, and he ends up going from like, I'm going to be the next big thing to, sorry, that's just the way business goes, you're nothing now, goodbye, we're moving on to the next person. So a bunch of horrible stuff happens, but of course in the end all kind of works out, and spoilers here, he ends up sort of getting his fame built back up sort of by accident, and things do work out for him in the end, and ends up getting to make the film he wants to make. So pretty cool, definitely worth checking out. Kind of shows you a little bit of a warning if you are a filmmaker out there and you get noticed. Don't let things go to your head, because it can all come crashing down. You can ruin your relationships and your friendships, and just let it all. Don't let it all go to your head. Keep it real if you ever become somewhat big. So definitely worth checking out. I love this one. It was great. Then a movie I really wanted to see also because I heard so much good things, and that is The Final Girls, which is a movie that pays homage. People we're saying, oh, it pays homage to like 80s slashers. I didn't really say this one pays homage to Friday the 13th. It just, the film they get sucked into, which kind of sounds weird, but the film they get sucked into is basically Friday the 13th. And it's all about this girl who has this mother who was in this horror movie, and she ends up dying and whatnot. It's kind of sad. But they end up getting like sucked into the movie, which sounds kind of weird, but it works in a strange way. It sounds cheesy, it sounds ridiculous, but it actually kind of works. So they get sucked into this horror movie, and now she's stuck with all these people, and they don't realize, that they're actors, of course, because they're in the movie. But it's kind of amusing, some of the stuff that happens, how like they get away with telling you that they can't just run away, and they can't change this, and they can't fix it. Like some things that just can't be changed in a movie, and it's interesting the way they go about doing that. So it's these people get sucked into this movie, and now they got to deal with this horror guy coming after, basically like a Jason Voorhees kind of wannabe person coming after him, and how they're going to deal with that. And of course, you got this relationship with the daughter and this mother who was this actress in this film. Well, now they're kind of back together, even though the actress doesn't realize that she's her mother, obviously, but she's seeing her as a mother. So crazy story going on there. So interesting story. Like I said, definitely pays homage to, in my opinion, just basically more or less just Friday the 13th, but does a good job at it, and a fun movie. I wouldn't say it was like the greatest film I've seen. Some people were like out there saying like, oh, this is so good, it's amazing, it's fantastic, it's like the best thing ever. I wouldn't go that far, but it was definitely fun. It was a good movie. It's not perfect in the sense of how they go about showing you like paying homage to movies like Friday the 13th. Sometimes I kind of wish they would go back and shoot this stuff with like the real film and shoot it like it was shot back then to make it look real. I know it's gonna be a pain in the butt not to do it all digitally now and stuff, but if he did that, it'd be so much interesting in my opinion. So I don't know. So it was really well done. Definitely worth checking out. The Final Girls. I'd recommend it. If you like slasher movies, you just want to see a fun kind of new twist and take on it. One worth checking out. You're gonna like it. Oh, and then in this movie, the daughter and mother, they sing Betty Davis Eyes to one another. It's their little thing where they sing it to each other. And every time I hear Betty Davis Eyes, the only thing I can think of is Gwyneth Paltrow singing this song from Duets. So I got in the mood to watch this. I kept singing the Betty Davis Eyes over and over again in my head, and I just every time I sing that song, it's always Gwyneth Paltrow singing the song, and I was like, man, I haven't seen Duets in a long time. It's a great movie. I mean, Paul Giamatti's in it, so greatest actor in the world is in the movie, of course, so it must be good. Great film. I love this one. It's only my second time seeing this, but I really do love it. It's all about these characters coming together, and they are karaoke singers. Well, some of them are. It's karaoke singers. Some of them are like kind of do it professionally. Some of them kind of get roped, like sucked into it. Like Paul Giamatti's character kind of comes into it accidentally, and then then they all end up pairing up with people and singing duets. But once again, all kind of comes accidentally. All these people sort of pairing up with one another. But it's a great kind of sort of road trip movie, sort of, and people fighting each other. Really, what it comes down to, I like the Paul Giamatti, in my opinion. Like, his character is the best in this crappy kind of like relationship. He's sick of his job. His kids are ignoring him. His wife is ignoring him. He says, I'm going to go out for a pack of cigarettes, which she doesn't even smoke, and just doesn't come back. And he just like goes nuts because he ends up meeting up with this escaped convict, and he gets a hold of this gun and just does all this crazy stuff. And just his character is insane in this and awesome in this. And again, Huey Lewis and Gwyneth Paltrow, them teaming up as father and daughter, because they're estranged father and daughter relationship. Very cool. So definitely worth checking out. I love this one. I would highly recommend it. A lot of great characters in it, and a really well-told story. Definitely worth seeing. And then I had to watch Choo Choo Barn, Traintown, USA. This isn't going to be for everybody, but for me, I love this because the Choo Choo Barn is a really cool, giant model train layout, like destination, tourist destination in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, and I've been going there ever since I was a little kid. So of course, coming across this, I was pretty excited when I picked this up. I had to watch it like immediately, and it's just showing you the train layout and telling you about the train layout, telling you about how it was like came to be that they even had this. Had this thing going on, like about how his father created this and whatnot. So very interesting. I loved it. I thought it was great. Again, it's not going to be for everybody. Why would a lot of you guys out there care about this? You probably want it, but for me, this was great. Brought me back to my childhood. I cannot wait to take Cinema Sickness Jr. to the Choo Choo Barn. In fact, I was just talking to my wife about this recently and saying, we got to take him out there. He's going to love it so much, seeing all the trains. I loved it when I was a kid. I know he's going to love it. Can't wait. And this was a really fun watch. I'll be watching this one again for sure. And if I go back out there, and as you see, this is the 2006 edition, so this is from 10 years ago. They have a more updated version. I'll have to pick it up when I'm out there. All right, then like I said, I was in a bit of a World War II kick this week, and I checked out Lori, which I just recently picked up, and thought the synopsis sounded so interesting that I really wanted to see it. This being a German film, it's all in German with subtitles. There's no dubbing. Sorry if that's not your thing, but it doesn't bother me. In fact, I prefer to watch a movie in its original language, as the tone of everybody's voice and stuff like whatnot gets very much changed when there's dubbing. So I prefer watching it in its native language. And this was a really, really well done movie about it's right when like the war is coming to an end. I don't think at this point the Allies have necessarily conquered and or won or declared victory or whatnot, but the war's coming to an end. It's over, and they're rounding up all the the higher ups and the generals and whatnot, people like really involved in like the all the war crimes and stuff like that. They're rounding them up, putting them in prison, and putting them to death, and sentencing them to basically putting them all on trial. And they take this mother and father, this father who's like this like higher up in the Nazi party, and the mother who I guess was involved as well. They had to take them off and basically take them to prison. And now these kids are just left alone. Like, it's kind of crazy that they were like, okay, we're gonna take your parents away, and then sorry kids, you're on your own. Insane. And it's this older daughter who's a little bit younger. There's two twins who are like the next two younger down, and then there's a little baby. And oh man, I've said before, it's really hard for me to watch anything with babies in it now, that like babies that suffer. As somebody who has a child, I have a 2-year-old. It just I watch that and just like it like Cinema Circus Jr. has just ruined movies for me with children, and it really gets to me. So now they have to basically trek across Germany. They got to go to Hamburg, which is like a really far destination away, to go stay with a relative. And they got to trek, all the way across across Germany, like war-torn Germany. They don't have any food. They're suffering. What are they gonna do? They end up, interesting story. They end up meeting up with this guy who we think, I'm spoiling some stuff here, but we think is a Jew, and it's the issue of the oldest daughter and this apparent Jew, and she is kind of like, with her parents and stuff, raised to hate him, but he's being nice and helping them, especially since basically he's really looking after him because they have the baby. He wants to make sure the baby's okay. So he's looking after them and trying to help them out, and then there's a twist ending at the end, which kind of makes things really interesting. And there's also this love relationship between the daughter and this boy, and again, she's really torn between, like, I'm supposed to hate him, but he's helping us, and I think he's hot, and I want to bang him. So there's that going on. But it's also this really crazy story of this family and this guy going across country and trying to survive without any food and water, and they're traveling by foot, and they got get kids and a baby, and what are they gonna do? And it's really difficult for them, and just the intenseness of all of that. I don't want to spoil too much for you, but there's like a super sad part with one of the kids, and just definitely worth seeing. This is a very, very well done movie, and I highly recommend it. It's gonna pull at some of your heartstrings, and it's also just a really interesting story in of itself. So if you just want to watch a good story with some emotional elements to it, Laurie is one to see. This was a great watch. And then to finish up my my World War II movie theme that was going on, I watched Conspiracy. This was a kind of twisted movie. All takes place, which is really interesting, like in one room. It's one of those movies. Or I should say one house, but more or less one room. And it's basically all like the high ups in like the Nazi party basically discussing the final solution, where what do we do with all these Jewish people that we have in these concentration camps? We're feeding them, they're costing money, the blah 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 blah. What are we gonna do with them? They're growing as we bring more in. It's just we don't have room for them. What do we do with all the Jews? What's gonna happen and whatnot? And of course, not being exactly the nicest people in the world, the Nazis not exactly being the nicest people in the world, in the end decide just to kill them all. Yay! So that's pretty messed up, but it's a whole discussion. Apparently this is all based on true documentations that were taken of the discussions that went on, and their discussion on what do we do, everything from what should we do leading up until they, all the discussion that went on up until the very end when they decided, okay, let's just kill them all off. There's talk on, well, what do we do with Jewish German or say Jewish Aryan relationships, like if the mother or father is a Jew and the mother or father is an Aryan, and they've bred. What do we do with the children? What do we do with the marriages? Do we kill the Jewish mother and let the German Aryan father live? What do we do with the child who's like mixed bred, as they're saying? And so what do we do with these people? And they have to figure that out. And of course, in the end, they basically just decide to just kill all them as well. So basically, it's just this whole story of what do we do with all these people that we don't know what to do with? How should we fix this issue we're having? What should the solution be? And it was the final solution of just kill them all. Wow, pretty messed up story. So really interesting, worth checking out, but pretty messed up and the same. But well done. It's an HBO movie as well, which is always a plus. They're very well done. So I'd recommend checking this one out. It's pretty messed up though, but that's the way World War II movies usually are. And then finally, look at this, 20 minutes in. I'm really surprised me got through this so fast. 20 minutes in, we're going to talk about quickly the Hunger Games series. I sat down and watched all 4 of these movies. Finally, the only one I had originally seen was the Hunger Games. I watched it, and then I picked up Hunger Games 2, Catching Fire, and I was like, well, I want to get myself caught back up, so all right, I'm going to watch that, and then watch this, and I started thinking, no, because there's 2 more movies coming out, and I'm going to do the same thing after every movie. I'm going to watch this, I'm going to watch this, and I'm going to have to watch this again, and then this is going to come out, and I'm going to have to watch the first 2 movies again. I'm just going to watch these movies like 17 times. It's going to be ridiculous. So I thought, all right, I've seen the first one, I enjoyed it, but now I'm gonna wait for them all to come out, and I'm just gonna marathon them. And it's certainly an enjoyable series. And I know for those, I'm waiting for you guys to leave comments because everybody keeps saying it. The book is so much, or the books are so much better, so much more detailed and involved, and there's more character development. I know, that's what I'm told, but this isn't literature sickness. This is cinema sickness. We're here to talk about movies, not the books. So the books might be better. I'm sure they are. That's usually the case. More power to the books. If you are a bookworm, you like to read, go read the books. Awesome. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the movies and how the movies worked out. So I'm lost on one thing. Why did they take the last two movies and split them up? But the first two movies, they didn't. Really, when I thought when it came down to it, this could have been a 6-movie series. I really felt like the first movie just flew by way too quickly. There's not a ton of character development. Some of the characters, you're just like, wait, so I want to know more about these. Like, what happened with this person? You want to know more about them. And it's just kind of like, okay, the Hunger Games are coming, and Katniss volunteers. Now she's in the Hunger Games, and they're happening, and then the movie's over. What? Like, it just seemed to happen way too fast. I think there should have been more character development, especially with people like Rue and stuff, and I know people talk about that a lot, but yeah, Rue just kind of came and went. Like, that character seems so pointless in the movie. There should be more character development. I think the Hunger Games in themselves should have been drawn out a bit more, because that was really interesting part of the movie, watching all these killings go on and her having to survive and whatnot. It just seemed to go by way too quickly. So I thought this movie just flew by way too fast, a lot crammed into it. Probably could have been 2 movies, but in the end, it was a decent watch and worth checking out. And then, of course, at this point, I'm just going to talk about these all together. I don't want to necessarily go into each one in detail. But, of course, there's the whole love triangle thing going on with Katniss and her love, her love interests and whatnot. And at this point, they're going to kind of like rise up. There's a resistance, and they're all looking at Katniss as the as kind of like not necessarily the leader, but kind of the I'm trying to think what the word is I want to look here, but the kind of the face of the resistance that one everybody can kind of look up to. She's not necessarily the one involved in like necessarily running the resistance, but the face of it basically, and she ends up stirring up all this. Because of her, she really ends up stirring up a lot of emotions of people and really wanting to stir up this rebellion against the Capitol and the way things are being run. And it all builds from there. They're going to send... they, of course, want to... The Capitol wants to kill off Katniss, so they do something really shady, and it's like the 75th Hunger Games, and every like quarter Hunger Games they can do something kind of like different and cause a they can like pause the Hunger Games, stuff like that. So they decide to do this thing where they're going to take all the winners of like the Hunger Games from like the districts and like throw them all into the back into a Hunger Games and have this Hunger Games where they're going to kill off a bunch of people, like bunch of winners and whatnot, which is messed up, in the hopes that basically Katniss dies and they're gonna kill her. They're gonna that's the whole idea. And of course it doesn't work out that way. And in the end, of course, the whole big resistance and the fighting and all these people having to fight against and all the different districts rising up together and coming together to go against the Capitol and bring it down and bring democracy back to all the different districts and whatnot. It was well done. I do like the fact that in the Hunger Games, I like the fact that it almost feels like reality TV, because it's not just like, okay, we're going to stick you people in this environment, go kill each other. The people putting on the Hunger Games, they throw in things here and there, like the part where like they're shooting fireballs at Kat and stuff like that, and they bring in things to spice things up, to make things more interesting. Oh, you're we don't like how you're just kind of hiding away. We're gonna flush you out so you can't just hide and get you killed, and we don't like how this is going on, so we're gonna do this. And they throw all these things, and of course there's sponsors as well. You got yourself cut open pretty badly, you need some ointment for that cut. Well, that's why you want to get sponsors. You want to have sponsors sponsoring you so they can send you things to help you out. So very much in the way of like reality TV, which I thought was very interesting how they did that, where it's reality TV. It's mostly BS. I thought that was pretty interesting. I saw the ending definitely coming though. I mean, I don't want to spoil things too much here, but when Katniss is going to perform the execution, you know what's coming. I mean, I turned to my wife who had read the books, or well, I think books on tape anyway, or books on CD she listened to. I turned to her because we were watching the last one together, and I was like, Candace is gonna do this, right? And she's like, she kind of looked at me and she's like, just watch. I was like, oh, okay, so that's how that's gonna go down. It was really like, you just knew it was coming. So in the end, I thought they flew by a little too quickly. I mean, the last two. The last two were good because they split them up. I think the first two could have been split up as well. I really think a lot of times people are like, oh, why are they splitting these books up? You know, a lot of people think they, you know, sometimes that doesn't need to happen with movies. This is one of the few times I'm saying they should have split these up. I think there should have been more character development, more story. I would have liked to have seen more of the Hunger Games just in and of themselves because they were really interesting parts of the movie. So yeah, this should have been a 6-movie series in my opinion, but it is what it is. So again, still very well done. I thought it was enjoyable. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite franchise or anything like that. I didn't get like super into this. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people love this. It's, you know, a lot of people think it's great. I think it's okay. It just wasn't like the greatest movie franchise ever, in my opinion. It was just all right and worth checking out. Again, very well done. Interesting story, interesting characters, although a little lacking on the character development, but still very well done, and again, very interesting. I can't say that enough. Definitely something to check out. If you haven't seen the Hunger Games movies, see them. They were very, very enjoyable, and I can see myself watching these again. It's not like, let's say, the Twilight franchise, which I still got to get around to watching, like the last 2 movies. I'll probably marathon them at some point, but will I ever watch a Twilight series again? No. Probably not. It's not like that. It's like these, you know, in a couple years from now, I'm gonna sit down and go, yeah, I want to watch the Hunger Games movies again. They were great. Also interesting, you watch the first movie and you're like, okay, but then as the movies progress, you're like, holy crap, this and the Divergent series are like the same exact story. It's insane how much they're alike. They're almost exactly the same. I don't know which book came first. I know these movies came before the Divergent movies, but I'm not sure which book came first, but if somebody wasn't ripping somebody else off, it was just must have just been a crazy coincidence, because yeah, very similar. And another franchise I think is pretty good, but nothing like amazing, but still pretty good. So anyway, I don't know much to say about these more than the fact that they could have been better, but they still were good, and I think really more character development and more story we needed, but still great nevertheless. Check them out. So that was the weirdest review I've ever done. I just didn't know what to say about the Hunger Games. It was good. It was okay. I liked it. I didn't love it. It was good. Check them out. So anyway, all right, guys, there you go. That is it. So like I always say, thank you so much for checking this video out. Be sure to hit that like button down below. Also, if you want to see a new video from me every single day, and I got a whole bunch of cinema hunting videos coming up for you guys soon. I got like 2 and another one I'm going to shoot. So I got some of them coming up for you guys. So hit that subscribe button. If you're not already subscribed, you'll see a brand new video from me every single day, I promise. And also, if you want to grab yourself a Cinema Sickness t-shirt, hat, hoodie, tank top, button, all kinds of cool Cinema Sickness gear, head over to cinemasickness.spreadshirt.com where you can get yourself some of that. And also, if you like what you're seeing and want to just show your support for the show and keep videos like this coming your way and just show your thanks, head over to patreon.com/cinemasickness where you can become a patron and just, you know, show your support for the show. I would definitely appreciate it. Every tiny little bit very much helps, and again, is very much greatly appreciated. So, all right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a fantastic day. Hunting video coming for you guys tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you then. Bye.